Have you ever had an invisible guest? I don't mean someone who is just quiet. I mean, truly, completely invisible. Someone standing right next to you, talking to you, complaining about their day, while the rest of the world sees you talking to yourself like a lunatic. Now, what if you were the only person on earth who could see that guest? And what if that guest was a beautiful young woman who had just been murdered and she was demanding that you, a mild-mannered banker, help her solve the crime? Today, we are taking a journey back to 1941 into one of the most delightful, witty, and charming mysteries of the classic era. This is the perfect blend of screwball comedy, supernatural fantasy, and the classic old dark house thriller. This is Topper Returns. This isn't just a ghost story. This is a whodunit, where the victim is helping the detective track down her own killer. First, we must meet our living, breathing, and completely stressed out protagonist, Cosmo Topper. Topper, played perfectly by Roland Young, is the definition of a stuffed shirt. He is a rigid, meticulous, routine-obsessed banker. His entire life is governed by rules, timetables, and most of all, by the stern disapproval of his wife, Clara. Everything about Topper's life is agonizingly normal, except for one tiny detail. He has a secret. He can see ghosts. This is an ability he unfortunately picked up a few years prior after an incident with another pair of chaotic spirits, and it's a talent he has been desperately trying to ignore. He just wants a quiet life. He is not going to get it. And then we meet the heart of our story, Gail Richards. Gail is everything. Topper is not. She is beautiful, full of life, impulsive, fun, and loves adventure. She has only one immediate problem. She is about to be murdered. The story begins with Gail's wealthy friend, Anne Carrington. Anne lives in a spooky, isolated, fog-drenched Gothic mansion owned by her father. The house is exactly the kind of place you expect murders to happen in. Anne is desperate to get away from the mansion for a few days to meet someone in secret. She needs a plan. She begs her best friend, Gail, to do her a small favor, travel to the spooky mansion, pretend to be Anne Carrington for a few days, so Anne herself can sneak away unnoticed. Gail, always up for an adventure, and perhaps wanting to help her friend escape the creepy mansion, agrees to the swap. This is where the classic old dark house setup begins. The mansion is populated entirely by suspects. There is a mysterious butler, a sinister housekeeper, a suspicious family doctor who seems to be controlling everyone, and of course, a shadowy, cloaked figure seen lurking in the hallways. Gail, completely unaware of the danger, arrives at the mansion on a dark and stormy night. Everyone in the house believes that she is Anne Carrington. That night, a mysterious cloaked figure, believing Gail is Anne, moves through the shadows. The lights go out. There is a struggle in the dark. A knife is thrown. Gail Richards falls to the floor. She is dead. But this is not the end of our story. This is the true beginning. Because in the next scene, Gail stands up. She is confused. She looks down and sees her own dead body lying on the floor. She is now a ghost. She is invisible. She is ethereal. She realizes the killer, meant for her friend Anne, has murdered her by mistake, and the killer is still in the house. She has to solve her own murder. She has to save the real Anne, who will surely be the next target. But how? No one can see her. No one can hear her. And then she remembers the stories, the whispers around town, about that strange, stuffy banker, the one man in the world who for some reason can see ghosts. Gail has a new mission. She must find Cosmo Topper. Cosmo Topper, meanwhile, is at home, trying to live his normal, quiet life desperately trying to please his wife Clara. He has no idea that his worst nightmare or his greatest adventure is about to materialize in his living room. The ghost of Gail Richards appears, visible only to him. This is where the comedy truly begins. Topper is, understandably, terrified. He is seeing a beautiful ghost that his wife, Clara, cannot see. Gail is witty, charming, and absolutely demanding. She explains the situation. She was murdered. The killer is at the mansion, and Topper must help her. Topper refuses. He wants nothing to do with this. But Clara, his wife, walks in and sees her husband seemingly arguing with an empty chair. She sees him dodging invisible objects. She immediately assumes the worst. Her husband is either going completely insane, or he is finding new creative ways to lie to her. The comedic tension builds. Gail, the ghost, realizes she has leverage. She can make Topper's life miserable until he helps her. She begins to haunt him in the most hilarious ways. She moves objects. She sits in his lap, making him jump. She whispers clues to him while he is trying to talk to his wife, making him sound like a madman. Topper is trapped between a terrifying, demanding wife and a charming, demanding ghost. He finally relents. He agrees to help solve the murder, mostly just to get Gail to leave him alone. This forces Cosmo Topper, the timid banker, to lie to his wife and travel to the one place he doesn't want to be, the spooky, fog-covered mansion, filled with murderers, with only a ghost for a partner. The second act is a brilliant blend of mystery and slapstick. Topper arrives at the mansion, pretending to be an investigator or an insurance agent. Gail, the ghost, is his invisible sidekick. He must now interview the suspects, and this house is full of them. There is the sinister family doctor, who seems to have too much control over the estate, and was the one who insisted Anne needed rest. There is the creepy chauffeur, who clearly has a secret and was seen sneaking around the hallways. There is the cold, stern housekeeper, who seems to run the house like a prison and despised Anne. And of course the cloaked figure, who is still lurking, this time looking for the real Anne, who has now secretly returned to the house, unaware the killer is waiting. Topper is the worst detective in the world. He is nervous, clumsy, and terrified of everything. But he has an advantage: Gail. As Topper tries and fails to ask subtle questions, Gail, the ghost, simply floats through the walls. She listens in on secret conversations. She finds hidden clues. She then returns to Topper and screams the clues directly into his ear, while he is trying to appear calm in front of the butler. The comedy comes from Topper trying to maintain his composure. The housekeeper will ask him a simple question, and Topper, listening to Gail's ghostly instructions, will accidentally answer the ghost instead of the human, resulting in pure chaos. Gail uses her powers. When a suspect threatens Topper, Gail the ghost trips them. She moves furniture. She opens secret passages. Topper, meanwhile, is also being haunted by his wife. Clara, convinced her husband is having a mental breakdown or an affair, shows up at the mansion, adding another layer of chaos. Topper is now hiding from the killer, hiding from his wife, and taking instructions from a ghost that only he can see. The investigation leads them to the classic old dark house trope, the secret passages. Gail, being a ghost, discovers hidden tunnels behind the bookcases. She leads Topper, who is terrified of the dark and the cobwebs, into the secret heart of the mansion. They discover the killer's lair. They find the cloaked costume. They find the murder weapon. And they discover the truth about the motive. It was all about the Carrington family inheritance. The doctor and the housekeeper are in it together, trying to eliminate the heirs, Anne, so they can seize the fortune. But just as they figure this out, the killer returns. This brings us to the climax. The killer, the doctor, in the cloak, finds the real Anne Carrington, who is now cornered in the library. He is about to repeat the crime, to finally kill the real heir. Gail, the ghost, is frantic. She is invisible. She can't stop the knife. She screams at Topper to do something. This is Topper's moment. He is no longer the timid banker. He is the only man who knows the truth. He confronts the killer. It's pure chaos. The killer cannot understand how Topper knows where he is, because the ghost Gale is narrating the killer's every move. Topper, using the ghostly instructions, dodges the attack, trips the killer, and manages to save Anne, just as the police, called by Topper's wife, who thought Topper was the problem, burst into the room. The killer, the doctor, is unmasked and arrested. The mystery is solved. The resolution is both happy and deeply bittersweet. The crime is solved. Anne is safe. But Gail's work is finished. She saved her friend. She got her justice. But she is still a ghost. In the film's touching final moments, Gail the ghost meets with Topper one last time. She is no longer the witty, frantic girl. She is at peace. She thanks him. This is the fantasy element. Her job is done, and she must move on to the next place. She begins to glow with an ethereal, bright light. She smiles warmly at Topper, the only living person who knew her, and she waves goodbye. She ascends, disappearing, leaving Topper alone. Topper returns home to his wife, Clara, but he is a changed man. He is no longer terrified of her. He has solved a murder, faced down a killer, and befriended a ghost. He finally stands up to his wife, earning her respect and confusion. This film, Topper Returns, is a masterpiece of genre bending. It was released in 1941, and its special effects, making Gale appear transparent, moving objects seemingly by themselves, were groundbreaking for the time, and earned the film an Oscar nomination. It perfectly blended the spooky old dark house mystery, which was huge in the 30s, with the screwball comedy, which was peaking in the 40s. My personal analysis of this film is that it's smarter than it looks. Yes, it sets a silly ghost comedy, but at its heart, it sets a story about the invisible people. Gale starts as a beautiful, vibrant woman, and then becomes literally invisible, a ghost. She can only find justice by communicating with the other invisible person in the story, Cosmo Topper. Topper is invisible in his own life. His wife ignores him. His colleagues dismiss him. He is a man with no agency, no voice. It is only when these two invisible people, the ghost and the banker, team up that they find their power. Gale finds her justice, and Topper, by solving the mystery, finds his courage and his voice. It's a reminder that the people we overlook, the quiet ones, the toppers of the world, often possess the strength and perception that the loud ones miss. But what do you think? This film is pure fantasy, but its comedy holds up. Do you think the charm of these classic comedies is lost today? And if you suddenly found a ghost in your living room, demanding you solve their murder, would you help them? Thank you for joining me on this trip. Back to 1941, a time when even ghosts were glamorous. Classic films are not just mirrors of the past. They are maps to our own hearts.